Hey guys, I'm Jill and welcome to Premiere Basics, a weekly series where I teach you all the ins and outs of Adobe Premiere Pro. In today's live stream, I'm going to talk a bit about all of my editing experience in the past, both for Cinecom, Premiere Basics, and for my clients as a freelance video editor. So if you have any questions regarding editing, then either send them on Instagram or drop them in the chat right here. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the first question that I received on Instagram earlier today. Let's have a look. And where was it? Oh, here it is. The first question was, how much time do you spend editing for Premiere Basics, for the tutorials? Well, let me show you a photo of me. Here it is. This is actually me editing the tutorial for this week. Jordy took this photo today. So as you can see, I have a desk all by myself here at Cinecom. So I'm not in the big office with the other guys anymore because there wasn't enough room. But how much time do I spend editing? Well, it all depends a little bit on Premiere Pro, of course, and on my PC. For example, today I had a lot of problems with some graphic cards in my computer. So Premiere Pro wasn't working anymore. I always had a black screen while I was editing, so I couldn't do anything, and I actually lost about 2 or 3 hours arranging all of those technical difficulties. So yeah, that can happen, of course, and you always have to keep some time when editing for problems that may occur. So how much time do I normally spend editing? Well, about 1.5 days or 2 days. I work here on Mondays and Tuesdays, and I make the live streams or the preparations for the live streams Monday afternoon, because it's always Monday afternoon where we do the live stream out here in Belgium. And on Wednesday, we post our tutorials, which I prepare on Monday and Tuesdays. So normally it takes about 1.5 or 2 days. Now, what's the process of editing these kinds of tutorials? Well, I'll show you and talk to you about it in a bit. First, let me go to the comments real quick, because I see that we have a donation from Clips.be. Thank you so much, man. We're already started like 2 minutes ago and you already donated, so thank you so much for that support. Okay, guys, let me see. By the way, hello to everyone that is watching. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here and you're just a regular viewer, also welcome. Let's see. Fun fact, the name Jill stands for small goat or servant of Jesus. I didn't know that, so yeah, that's a fun fact indeed. How do you face the annoying errors? I just try to solve them as best as possible. So today I had a lot of difficulties with some graphic cards on my computer, so I uninstalled them. I went to previous versions. I reinstalled them. I did a clean install. Eventually, it all worked out, but yeah, I lost a lot of time. So, yeah, that's not fun, of course. But as I just mentioned, if you're working for a project, if it's for yourself or for YouTube or for a client or for the job that you're working at, always keep a little bit of margin, so that when a problem occurs, you have the time to finish it and you don't have any stress about the problem that is occurring. So yeah, that you don't really have to stress about anything. You can just solve the problem and then just keep on working on it and still get everything done in time. So that's a really big, important thing that you should remember. Okay, first I'm gonna show you the workflow of how I make a tutorial here on Premiere Basics. I'm gonna open up some things here, but I'm not gonna show you guys yet, otherwise I will spoil some things. What are we gonna open? Let's open up one of our previous tutorials maybe. Let's do the one about captions. Let's have a look. Where is it? Is it this one? Okay, I think it's opening. So I'm just waiting for Premiere Pro to open. In the meantime, let's answer some more questions. I'm first gonna go to Instagram because we received a couple of questions over there. Let's see, where are they? Here they are. Let's see. What is the best editing software of all time? There isn't actually a best software, but I preferably use Adobe Premiere Pro for editing or DaVinci Resolve. Oh, and of course I have a problem because I downgraded Premiere Pro. No problem, let's just quickly re-download or upgrade our Premiere Pro. Let's do that, and in the meantime, I'll keep on answering some of your questions. So is there a specific best software out there for editing? Not really. It all depends on your skill level, of course. If you just used HitFilm Express or Filmora Pro and you're absolutely good at that software, then you can be the same amount of, or you can make the same amount of things that someone makes in Premiere Pro, even if that person doesn't know a lot about Premiere. So it all depends on your skill level, not on the software that you're using. Which is better, Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro? Like I just mentioned, they're quite the same actually. They both have familiar interfaces, familiar effects, so there isn't really a better one between those. Let's see, can I close this? Yes, I can close that. Another question. When we edit a scene of a movie, how to remove the background noise from a scene? Now, if you're talking about visual noise, so digital noise in your camera, try to expose properly. It's difficult to get rid of noise in camera when you're doing the editing process because you can end up with a really washed up looking thing or video, which isn't nice to look at. So preferably you should just light everything really properly so that there isn't any grain when you're shooting or noise when you're shooting it. If you're talking about audio noise, then make sure that your set is just as quiet as possible. Now, of course, if you're shooting in an environment that doesn't allow for complete silence, of course, for instance, when you're shooting on the street or somewhere in a forest, that isn't really possible. So maybe you can either delete all the audio and just make your own sound design. And if you have people talking in your shots, then maybe you can do a voiceover from them or an ad lib or whatever, or just try to shoot the audio as good as possible by getting the mic really close to their mouth. And you can also use some denoisers that are specifically made to get rid of the noise in your audio, but it's just the same as with video. If you don't really have to use it, don't use it because you will notice it. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys a little bit of a glimpse of how I edit the different videos or tutorials here on the channel. So let's have a look. Okay, where are we gonna start? We're gonna start with the beginning, of course. So here we have one of the, wait, I'm gonna change the perspective here. This is a little bit better. So here we have one of the tutorials that we've posted, I think, 2 weeks ago. So this was about the automated captions inside the newest Premiere Pro feature. Now, how do I normally start? Well, of course, I start with an idea. I test that idea in a separate Premiere project. And I see if, if it works properly, of course, what the different steps are to achieve that idea. And then I write my text, which looks, let's have a look if there's a text here. Let's see, it's this one. So here it is. This is my entire text. Of course, I use another program normally to open this. So as you can see, this is my entire text. Then I come here into the studio, I record the text using the auto cue, and then I have this footage right here, so it's just me talking. Then I go over to my office back again, and I shoot or screencast my entire process of making that effect, which is actually this right here. So let me show you what it looks like without any effects in there. This is just my regular screencast. So I'm just doing everything inside of Premiere Pro, and I place that, as you can see, on top of my spoken text. So this is my entire studio text right here, or studio video layer. On top of here, I put the screencast, and then I just start animating it. So whenever there's something important, I highlight it by going with the motion properties, or sometimes the transform effect, towards that specific section on screen. Of course, I can always add extra elements, like for example here, I've placed 2 color mats to highlight specific sections, and I've placed some essential graphics to create some more text layer there so that it's more understandable. Let's see if there's anything special. I have my music, I have some sound design, as you can see here. It's just a simple swoosh, I think, or no, here it's like a party sound, and all the rest is quite the same. Here in the end, we also have screencast. This is normally our ad or something familiar to that. And in the end, we just have our end credits and our music. And in the beginning, of course, we have our intro with the music attached to it. So that's how we edit, or how I edit the tutorials for Premiere Basics. Okay, let's see if there are any more questions. Let's go back a bit. And where did the question start, actually? Do you prefer storyblocks or Envato elements? I prefer storyblocks because they have a super big library filled with photos, templates, overlays, videos, audio as well, sound design or sound samples. So yeah, they have a ton, and you can download for an unlimited amount on there, so that's just super useful. So I personally prefer storyblocks. When will you start an After Effects tutorial? Unfortunately, we're not gonna do that on this channel because this is all about Premiere Pro, of course. What laptop is cheap when I use Premiere and After Effects? So a cheap laptop to use Premiere and After Effects. That's what you're asking, right? Well, I'm not that familiar with computers and all of the hardware, so I'm not entirely sure, but I think if you're just using HD footage and normal basic effects that aren't super complicated, you can use even the cheapest laptops, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but it all depends on what you want to achieve and what you're editing, of course. Let's see. This is a good question also. How has Cinecom changed in regards to the pandemic? Does it still affect you these days, or have you gotten used to it? Well, we're kind of used to it right now. Has it changed anything? No, we're just more safe. So we all wear our masks, and we keep a lot of distance. We clean everything regularly. While in the past you often just use a camera or you give it to someone else, while now we always clean everything. So yeah, that's a difference. Let's see, are there any more editing questions? What's your regular sequence setting? That's a really good one. Normally I use, let's head back to editing. Let's see, I can just make a new sequence because I have a shortcut for that, Control N. So I have my YouTube sequence right here. This is always a 30 frames per second sequence. It's in 4K or Ultra HD actually. Yeah, is there anything different about it? Not necessarily. Oh yeah, maybe here. I always go to settings and make a custom one where my file format is a QuickTime Apple ProRes 422, because when I render and everything in my timeline is green, I can go and export it. Can I use my shortcut? Yes, here it is. And then I can use my previews, as you can see right here. Same thing for exporting. I always use the YouTube 4K Ultra HD. And sometimes I play around a bit with the bit rate. It all depends on the size, of course, as well. So yeah, that's my regular sequence size. I also have another one for TikToks or Instagram stories, which is also 30 frames per second, and it's a vertical sequence just in 1080. Then I also have a square one for Instagram, for example, which is just 1080 by 1080. So those are the sequences that I use the most often. Let's see. Can you do an endless loop video tutorial? That's actually a good idea for one of the future tutorials. Text motion, please. How to make creative text motions in Premiere Pro? Well, stay tuned. Do you live in Belgium? Yes, I do. How to get a girlfriend that looks as beautiful as yours? Good question, man. Good question. But she is beautiful indeed. Let's see. Are you using Filmora? I have edited with Filmora once to test out the app or the software because I wanted to see how different it was from Premiere Pro. And also because I had a lot of people asking me for a free editing software. That's why I wanted to test it first so I could recommend it to other people. And I quite like it, but for me, it's easier to edit in Premiere Pro because I'm used to the workflow. I'm used to, well, the entire look and interface and all of the effects and just everything related to it. Also the crashes. Why not 24? Why is it 30 frames per second? Well, it's a good question, actually. So the timeline that I use here, or that we use here at Cinecom, is 30 frames per second because it's better for YouTube and because it's overall better because everyone can just watch it. As you know, here in Europe, we normally use PAL, or 24, 25 frames per second, while in other countries like Asia and America, I think, they use NSTC, which is like 30 frames per second. But yeah, if you just use 30 frames per second, you can watch it everywhere, and it's just a nice flow, I think. Did you design your logo? Well, Jordy did, so that's really nice of him. Can you make another episode of editing your footage? Sure, in the future. What's the biggest project you worked on? That's a really interesting question. When it comes to editing, I think I haven't done anything related to big films yet. I did work on the production of a big feature film, but I didn't work on the editing part. But I'm gonna show you a video that I did. Let's look it up. Where can I show it to you? Oh, here it is. I agree. Whoops. Let's place it here. Let's do it full screen. So this is a video that I made for a Belgian artist who I went on tour with for about just not a year, just almost a year. And he just asked me to make a recap of every time he performed and to make a general recap of the entire tour. But it couldn't be too long because, of course, people needed to get a little bit excited when seeing it, but not be bored. Like, he didn't want an entire, documentary of all the things that he went to. So I'm gonna show you guys what I made for that client. Let's go here, and I'm just gonna show it to you. So this is the artist itself, and some of his band members. Okay, so that was it, guys. It's, as you can see, a 21:9 aspect ratio. Now, why did I did that? I did that to get a cinematic feeling without using crop bars. But as you can see, I played around with a lot of different sizes here. For example, when we go a little bit further in the intro, here I just used the regular 16:9 size, which actually kind of looked here like a 4:3 because you get the letter boxes on the right and left side. Then further on here, where is it? I'm not entirely sure. Let's play it. Here, for example, I actually just cropped some videos and I actually showed multiple things that were happening at the same time, but in kind of an interesting way. So this is something really cool. Now you may be asking, hey, why is this one of your biggest project that you've worked on? Well, it's just because this was a project with a ton of footage. I think I shot about 10 of his shows. So I had footage from all of those shows, from all of those 10 different shows, from beginning to the ending. So I had to really look for the best things that were happening, things that he said or that one of his band members said, people that were in it that were quite important to show. So yeah. What else do we have here? I've made also some captions for this one. Also because when you read something, you hear something way better. It's the same as when you're watching a movie, for example, on Netflix or just on your DVD player. If you're just listening to it, you understand it, but if you actually read it, you comprehend it even more. That's why I chose for the captions. I made them in kind of a soft yellow color so that they won't be noticed too much. They're quite, faded into the video. I use this RGB effect also a lot. This is the chromatic aberration effect from Red Giant Universe. It's a paid plugin, of course, but I think this was one of the coolest things in the plugin itself, so I use this a lot. Then we have the intros, which I've actually made kind of a more easier tutorial about on the Premiere Basics channel. It's called the advanced or freeze frame introduction tutorial. I think you can just find it on our channel, of course. These were actually made in After Effects and not in Premiere Pro. I'm gonna mute the audio for a moment. What else do we have here? We've got a lot of in-camera transitions that I just played around with the speed ramping here in the video. I use a lot of overlay effects. Here he actually says, are we gonna start over? Because during this show there was actually something wrong with the audio. So he asked the audience like, hey, do you guys want to start over just from the beginning? But we fixed the audio. They were like, yeah, let's do that. So I used this actually to make a freeze frame, turn everything into black and white, and then actually instead of going back to the beginning, I just skipped it somewhere else. As you can see, I also played around with some glitch transitions here to go from one scene to the other. What else do we have here? For example, this right here were some in-camera transitions. Where was it here? It's just a pan transition, but you can also do that in editing, of course. Once again, some overlay effects here, and that's kind of it. Okay, so any more questions about editing? Let's see. Tips about editing or filming to any occasion, birthday or wedding. Well, when you're editing something that is actually kind of a happy event that people have to enjoy, it's an experience, it's a memory for those people, try to first search for all of the highlights of that moment or from that day or whatever. Find all of the shots where people are laughing, where people are smiling, when people are happy, when people are playing around with gifts that they got, when they're opening gifts, when they're doing something that is important towards that event. For example, when you're doing a wedding, Of course, when they give their rings to each other, or when they kiss, or if they have doves or something that are flying around, or when it's a birthday and someone blows out the candles of a cake or something. Those are some important moments that you need to have. So make sure that you have a build up towards that moment, and then just show that moment in all of its glory. Don't cut it too quick. Make sure that the people enjoy that memory, and then you can go ahead and show different stuff that is happening. What is the best website to find background music, as it is really hard to find good background music? That's a good question. I always use Artlist, Storyblocks Audio, MusicBed, and Epidemic Sound, but I've actually found 3 free websites. Let me look them up. I saved them on my phone just for you guys, but I'm not sure where I saved them, so let me look it up real quick. I think it was not entirely sure anymore. I think it was Ben Sound. That was one of those 3, but the other 2 I forgot, so I'll have to look for them. In the meantime, I'm just gonna answer another question. Let's see. Oh, we also had another donation. I didn't see it. From Atarva Saraf. You're the best. Please don't stop making such videos. Oh, thanks, man. That's so sweet. Thank you so much for the support. Would you make a video with all Cinecom team like Corridor Digital done sometimes? Yes, we can do that. We can do that. How you get an idea of a tutorial or for a tutorial or a live stream? It just comes. Of course, what I do is I watch a lot of movies, I watch a lot of YouTube videos, I read a lot. I just look to different, or I just watch different creators, and I try and get inspired by them. For example, if I see something in a movie or online or whatever where I can see something, I try to look at it and think, is that something that I can create in Premiere Pro? And if so, how would I do that? How would I achieve that look in Premiere Pro with the available effects, without any paid plugins, without anything else from other different websites or softwares, just with basic stuff inside Premiere Pro? And if that's doable, I will test it out, and if it's an easy thing, not too advanced, then I make a tutorial for it or a live stream. But now I try to keep the live streams more interactive than actually creating something. What is the best way to learn yourself editing? Victor, that's a really good question, actually. I also learned a lot by myself. What I did was I watched a lot of YouTube tutorials, a lot of YouTube videos in general, and I also had a subscription to Skillshare. I followed some classes on there on how to edit with Premiere Pro, how to edit with After Effects, DaVinci Resolve, all of those softwares. And I also had lynda.com, which now changed to LinkedIn Learning. So yeah, you can learn a lot from those platforms. There's also Udemy. Are there any other platforms that I know of? I don't think so. So yeah, but of course YouTube is free, so just go ahead on YouTube, look for tutorials, like for instance on this channel or on the Cinecom channel, and just try to learn as much as possible. Try to do as much as possible. Don't just edit the same thing all over again, or try and replicate stuff that you see on YouTube tutorials by following exact the same things that they do. Try to be a little bit creative, shoot something, try and make something good with it, something fun with it. Test some stuff out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If you screw it up, then try and learn from those mistakes, and that's the way to learn. Make video on top 5 cool music video title effects. That's an interesting one. I don't know a lot about title effects in music videos, actually. I think, do I have a favorite music video? That's maybe a good question. I think Closer by the Chainsmokers was a nice one. Back in the day, at least. It's from 2016. Let's see if I can show it to you guys. All of those ads on YouTube. Okay, so let me quickly show it to you guys. So this is it. It's by Rory Kramer, as you can see here. But they had a really fun way of using those scribble effects here. Let me enlarge this for a moment. And it was quite nice. This is actually also a video editor on screen, the actor here. That's Taylor Cut Films and his previous girlfriend, Alyssa. Or I think her name was Alyssa, yeah. So yeah, that's a really nice effect, and it was actually quite popular on YouTube back in 2016 or 2017. And it was recreated a lot during tutorials. I think we even did that on the Cinecom channel as well, but I really loved that when I first saw it. But I think that's one of the only title effects that I can imagine in a music video. I don't think I know about any other specific title effects in music videos. What I do love are the more artistic music videos, or the ones, I think it was A$AP Rocky or something, where he used all of those textured, paper cut stuff during his music video as transitions or just basic effects on it. So that's something that I liked a lot as well. Let's see, are there any more questions here? What are the export settings used in a Hollywood film? That's a good question. Actually, I don't know that for sure because I've never worked on a Hollywood film before. So yeah, I wouldn't know. YouTube Audio Library is, by the way, also something where you can find audio, and it's actually free, I think. Is it better to learn directing than be a director, or learn editing than being an editor? That's a super interesting question. So is it better to learn it or to be it? I think, personally, that it's better to learn as much as possible. Learn how to edit, learn how to direct, learn how to shoot a video, learn how to shoot proper sound, how to work with lighting, and then choose whatever you want to do. But if you know everything from it, or at least some basics from all of those departments, it's way easier to communicate with someone else or to know what you actually want to achieve. For example, if you know about editing and you know about shooting videos and you know about directing, and then you're editing a project, you can easily tell, okay, this wasn't acted very well, so I'm going to look for another shot where the acting was better. Also, the camera movement here, the camera placement wasn't that good, so I'm looking for another shot, because that's way easier to edit for you. Your workflow will be better, you will understand everything way better, and of course, the end result will be way better. If you don't know what you're doing and you're just editing without realizing what is good and what is bad, and you're just following instructions by people that maybe don't know a lot about editing, then the end result will look a bit more crappy. That's just my opinion. Wow, I see someone spamming. Premiere Pro CS4, how do we do masking? I'm not entirely sure. I think I've actually never used CS4. So, sorry for that. Maybe you can try and find a tutorial on that on YouTube. The best effects on dance videos. Okay, I have a good one to show you. But what's his name? Let me think about that. Dance video Naruto. I think maybe I can find it like that. No. Dance video Naruto drawing Okay, I forgot the name of the guy, but there's this guy that I follow. Oh, wait. Sergio Naruto. Sergio. That's him. Yeah, okay. So this is a guy. Let me show you. Here we go. This is a guy, or two guys actually. These are their names. You can find them on Instagram. And these guys are animators. So what they do is they work a lot with video creators or dancers, and they shoot a dance sequence or just a video in general, and they animate it. But they put so much effort in it, and I really, really love it. Let's have a look here. So this is Naruto inspired. Most of the times they actually do the Naruto style. I think that's one of their preferences. So as you can see, he draws on top of the actual video shot. And once this is actually all an animation or a drawing, he can actually do whatever he wants. So from this part here, it's not actually video anymore. Maybe he uses references, but it's actually just animation. He transitions towards video back again, makes another animation. This is super cool as well. And here, another video shot. And I think that is super well done, super nice. I'm gonna have a look at his channel because I know that he works with dancers a lot. Oh, yeah, actually this one. I'm not sure if you guys know Shaquille O'Neal. He's actually a famous basketball player from America. And Adam Savani played Moose in the Step Up movies. So they actually made a dance video together, and they also made some cool animations here, which was actually super nice. Now I think this was shot on a motion-controlled robot arm or something like that, because you can see that in the movements, but the animation here is super well done. You actually see that they put a lot of time and effort in that, especially here where they just overlaid the entire video. And, you know, they played around with so many effects here, so many different styles of animation. Here they placed another transition, but this was actually really cool. It's all quite short, but of course we all know that, for example, if you shoot 1 second of video, you know, you have 24 to maybe 60 frames per second. So those are 24 to 60 drawings that you have to make per second. So if this is 30 seconds long, well, you can do the math. Now, of course, probably they use either After Effects or other software, so they don't have to go frame by frame. Maybe they can like skip 3 frames and make like an animation that is way easier with keyframes or something. But as you can see, it's just super well done. The execution here, especially here, this part as well, super nice. I think they actually duplicated the video maybe, or maybe made a drawing first and then duplicated it to make kind of a drop shadow effect behind them. They also changed the colors, they animated the colors, they made like a pattern here that is really subtle and you don't see it immediately because you're looking at all of the white stuff that is going on here. But once you see it, I mean, super well done. Also in the back they added lines to create that dynamic feeling and that depth of field. They used some text here, and of course back a transition towards the video itself. So that's super nicely done, and that's something that I love to see in dance videos. Can you show us the final edit of your recent commercial product? Good question. I'm not sure if it's already online. Let me look it up first before I show it to you guys, because I know that those people were working on their website, so I'm not sure if they have put the video online already. No, they haven't. Okay, let me look up another project that I did. Let's see if they put anything online yet. That's the thing with clients. Of course, you make the videos, you make the edits, but they still have to post it. And that all depends on their marketing, of course. Let's see. Okay, so it's not loaded yet on their website. They haven't uploaded it yet, unfortunately. Maybe if I have a look on their Instagram, let's have a look. Is there anything there already? No, there isn't. Unfortunately. Let's have a look. Maybe I can find another project that I did, another commercial project. Oh, I'll show you. I know something. I'm gonna show you something. This is actually a video that I made for Mercedes-Benz back in, I think 2017 or 2016. I'm not sure. So let me show it to you guys. And this was actually made in After Effects. It was for Mercedes-Benz magazine. This was actually made in After Effects, but at the time, I really sucked at After Effects. I actually didn't know what I was doing because I didn't understand anything in that software. I just used Premiere Pro all the time. So what I first did was I created this entire sequence with all of those effects, with all of those assets in Premiere Pro. So I've actually made these in Premiere first. I made those motion graphics in Premiere. I made the camera movements. As you can see, it goes from Oslo to Malmo to Brussels to Copenhagen. I made all of that in Premiere Pro. Even this right here, I made that inside of Premiere Pro. But then there was a problem because the client wanted this. A page turning in their magazine. And I was like, how do I do this in Premiere Pro without it looking like complete crap? So then I went ahead, followed some After Effects courses, asked some friends that knew After Effects, and then I've actually created this. And also, as you can see here, made some transitions, like for example here. This one, unfortunately, isn't as perfect as I want it to be because I wanted to actually have this framing exactly the same, but as you can see, I had to make an overlay because the actual footage was otherwise, you know, too zoomed in. But I think this was quite nice. The client was really happy with this. This right here, also in After Effects, but you can make this as well in Premiere Pro, of course. The only problem that I had was the page turning, so I decided to make everything back again in After Effects, which is actually a little bit more of a better result because, you know, I kind of liked working more with keyframes in After Effects and with the animations. I think the result is a bit better, but is there anything special here? Not really. Oh yeah, this right here as well. But this is also something that you can make in Premiere Pro as well. You can just animate a mouse. You click here, you make this a rectangle. Let me head a bit back. You make this a rectangle. You animate a rectangle. When you click, it either changes color or it scales just a little bit. Then here, this is just a simple dip to white overlay. And here we are. This you can just do with the transform effect, make a super big magazine portfolio thingy, make it super big, then start on the top, use the transform effect to scroll through it, and that's how you can achieve this. And here, once again, you can just use either cropped freeze frames or you can mask it out. Then you can just simply animate it with the transform effect to get that motion blur. Maybe use a crop effect back again to create it to the right size. And then here, this I also created with After Effects because it was a bit too hard to do in Premiere Pro. So yeah, that's one of the commercial products where I actually learned a lot from, especially when it comes to After Effects itself. Do you edit with two monitors? Yes, I always edit with two monitors because I want my program monitor to be as big as possible. So normally I just drag my monitor or my program monitor to the left, and that's where I have my visual. And then on the right side, I have all my effects, my effect controls. I have my timeline, of course, my project with everything in there from footage and sound effects, other assets, my Lumetri, essential graphics, essential sound, and the audio track mixer. That's what I always keep open at all times. And then my source monitor is also on my right screen, but it's quite small because I don't use the source monitor that often. Because I can just trim it a little bit more inside the timeline itself. So that's quite small on my right screen. And on my left screen, I have my big program monitor where I just follow and scrub through all everything that I do. I used to work also with 3 monitors, where I also had one on top of here where actually my program monitor was. Then I had a separate one for my timeline, and everything else was on the right side. I used that for like half a year, but I noticed that my neck hurt too much when I always had to look up to watch the final result. And when working in the timeline, it was, you know, a little bit confusing because my timeline was super big. So if it was quite a small project or just something that didn't need a lot of tracks or layers or whatever, then it was, yeah, super useless to use an entire screen just for the timeline. So yeah. How did you learn editing? I learned it on school and, of course, through tutorials and classes. Online classes. Let's see. Do you think that film school is better than self-learning? Not necessarily. You can... It all depends on yourself, of course. If you are someone that is really into learning new stuff and you can dedicate yourself to it, then go ahead and do it yourself. If you actually need the advice and guidance and knowledge of other people, then go to film school, of course, or just combine both. What film school did you go to? I went to Narafi, which is now Luca School of Arts in Brussels. I usually do infographics type of videos using PowerPoint, but is there any way to do it easy using Premiere Pro? Yes, with the essential graphics, you can easily make those. The only thing is that I think PowerPoint, I'm not that good with PowerPoint, by the way, but I think it has some automatic things, like if you put percentages in there, it will show you the exact percentage. So that's a bit harder to do in Premiere. And of course, you can always find a workaround for that. Do you know what Storyfire is? No, but I can look it up. Storyfire. What is it? Videos and stories. An American service for sharing videos and telling stories. Never heard about it. Never heard of it. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna go into Instagram real quick to look at the questions. Are there any more? Yes, there are. Let's start with this one. I work and I get distracted a lot from YouTube and social media. How do you deal with it? When I'm editing usually and I really have to finish something for a deadline, I put my phone away. I also don't have any notifications turned on my phone, so my phone is always quiet. Never makes any noises. Only messages, just directly messages, WhatsApp, because that's mostly when I talk to clients, or when someone calls me. Those are the only 3 notifications that I get. No social media notifications are turned on my phone. And that's for a specific reason, because I don't want to get disturbed. So when I'm editing, there's nothing else that can disturb me except for a text message, but most of the times when I get a message or when I get a call, it's either a client or someone important to me. So most of the time it is quite something that I need to see. But I don't see anything related to Instagram. I don't see anything related to Facebook or TikTok or Snapchat or whatever else of social media there is. Also, I try to not open anything on my computer. As you can see right here, I'm not gonna open it, but I have this app right here, which is Franz. It's Franz, And that's actually an app that allows you to log in into your different social media or other platforms like Slack or Discord. You can also open WhatsApp on there. You can open Instagram, but it always directs towards the messages. So for now, you see, for example, 3 notifications there. Not sure what they're from, but I know that I have 3 notifications on my social media. Now, I know that there is a notification, but I don't know what it is. Doesn't matter. I just keep on working, and when I take a break or when I finish it, I can go ahead, open that up, go over to, for example, Messenger or WhatsApp or Instagram and see the message directly and answer it right away on my computer. Don't have to take my phone, so I'm not gonna scroll through it because I'm instantly into my message box, into my inbox. I don't see any posts, I don't see any stories, I see nothing at all, only the message that has been sent to me. I just replied to it and I turn back off that program and go back to Premiere Pro. So that's something that I do. Also, don't open up YouTube if you're editing. Most of the times you need your audio when you're editing, so there's no reason to open up YouTube. However, you're not working with audio and you have the chance to open YouTube, then open either something that you can just listen to, like for instance a podcast or music, or maybe a movie, but something that you have seen before where you can just listen to, but you don't have to watch the entire time. And that way you can stay focused on your work, but still have some audio in the background. That's how I do it. Now, that same person also asked me how to be more productive. It's actually the same thing that I just mentioned. Turn off all notifications on your phone. Make sure to not open anything on your computer. Be fully dedicated to it. If there's a lot of background noise, for example, if you're editing at home and your mom is doing some laundry and your sister is yelling and your brother is, I don't know, building something and your father is cleaning the house or vacuum cleaning or something, then take headphones like I have right here, put them on, and be completely into your own zone. So, yeah, that's what I recommend. Let's see. How to know that it is the time to increase your price. If you have the feeling that you're editing a lot for clients and you actually put a lot of effort or a lot of time in it and the result actually looks quite good, or you see yourself evolving, but they still pay you like, a really small amount of monies and you're not really happy with the thing that you receive, then I would say turn up your prices. Like, if the value of what you give and what you get isn't exactly the same, turn up those prices. And maybe you're gonna lose some clients or lose some friends that say, hey, you're getting really expensive, I don't like it. Don't care about them, care about the ones that will say yes to your prices and that will pay for that. Because in the end, you can work for 10 clients at 10 hours or for like $10. So if you take 10 clients for $10, it's like $100. Or you can just take one client for $100. That's a huge difference. Because if you have to work for 10 clients and do all of the editing, you have to make sure that you get all of those deadlines on the correct dates. You have to make sure they're all happy, because there's so much to do in 1 week, for example. It could be that you have to manage your time a little bit different and make something really fast while actually you want to put more effort and time in it. While if you have only one client for $100, then you can take the entire week, you can put all of your time and effort in it, make it as good as possible, and maybe in the end the client will say, hey, you actually made it better than I expected. You know what? I'm gonna give you $150. Or maybe in the future you say, hey, I kind of want to change my prices a bit. I'm now gonna ask $200. And he's like, oh, okay, that's good. I mean, I'm so happy with your work all the time. You put so much effort in there. I'm gonna give you $200. So that's a good thing that I can tell you. So that's a good tip to know when you want to change your prices. Where can I find clients? Good question from Solio BG. Where can you find clients? You can find clients everywhere. Just make sure that people notice you. So talk to people about what you do, show your work on social media, or to friends or family, or to just people that you meet, and you talk about something like, hey, you know, I'm a video creator, I edit videos, here is some of my work, and you show it to them on your phone or on your laptop or on their phone or whatever, and that's how people notice you, that's how people get to know you, and that's how you will get asked. Let's see. Did you see Master movie? I'm gonna look it up. Master movie. Do you mean the Indian movie? No, I haven't seen it yet. Actually, I haven't seen any Indian movies yet. Do you watch The Sidemen? The Sidemen. I haven't seen that actually. No, I haven't. Do you know Ian Hubert? Ian Hubert. Let's see. I'm not that good with names. Ian Hubert. He makes movies. Project London, Dynamo, Tears of Steel. Doesn't say a thing actually. Doesn't ring a bell. No, I haven't seen anything that he made so far. Nope, I haven't seen anything. But I'm gonna remember the name, because when I look at the artwork of the Project London and Tears of Steel, it looks quite good. So yeah, I'm gonna look it up. And I see that they also did the visual effects for an Ed Sheeran music video featuring Camila Cabello and Cardi B. I think I have seen that one. Yeah, and he was also an animator for the Star Wars Revelation series. Okay, that's quite nice. That's quite nice. Okay, who's your favorite creator on YouTube? That's a tough question. Who is my favorite? Well, I have a couple of them actually. I love Ben TK, Sam Kohler, Aiden Robbins. Who else do I watch a lot? That's a tough question. Chris Ha. Are there any more creators? Yeah, they're like other creators, but they are like more photographer than videographer, so I will not go over them. Okay, what is the best for you? A hyperlapse or a time lapse? I would say both. There's not really something that I prefer more than the other actually. So yeah. I have done some hyperlapses and time lapses in the past, but they weren't so good. Let me show you. I'm gonna look up my channel real quick. I'll show you a video that I've made. Was it this one? Yeah, wait, let me look for it. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay, so I'm gonna show you a time lapse or hyperlapse that I've made in Canada, and I was actually doing this with a Ronin gimbal, so the Ronin M. I was just holding it, putting my camera on a timer, so it shot a picture I think every 2 seconds or something, and I just walked forward. But I'm actually not that good with hyperlapses and time lapses. I didn't have a lot of experience with it, so this was how I was walking around. As you can see, I have a timer set up on my camera and just put a cable in it, and that's how I got all of the shots. This was my first one, which wasn't really nice, and then I created this one, which I didn't like at all. I wanted to make it more, you know, steady, but the problem that I actually figured out was I did this in Premiere Pro using a warp stabilizer. Now, as you can see, it looks like crap. So what I did was I placed the chromatic aberration from the Red Giant Universe pack on it to make it a little bit more cooler, but the end result isn't great at all. What I had to do was I had to go into After Effects, use the motion tracking tool, use this reference here, this statue, to motion track so that it's always on the same position, that it doesn't move around, and that way this shot would have been so much cleaner and so much better, while now it just looks like crap. This could have been a really good hyperlapse actually, but now it's not. So the problem that I often have is that I use Premiere Pro too much. I try and do every effect inside of Premiere Pro, but I have to learn to not do that, to use After Effects from time to time, you know, because I've actually also used After Effects here to create, where is it? I think the next shot, this shot right here. I actually used After Effects to track this text onto that porch or onto that house right here. So, you know, I could have actually used After Effects again a little bit further here during that hyperlapse. And here I also used After Effects to create, wait, where is it? A look here, but it didn't look that good. But that's a mistake that I make a lot, and I actually use, or I put too much trust actually inside of Premiere Pro, especially the warp stabilizer. As you can see, the warp stabilizer really sucks at doing hyperlapses and time lapses, in my opinion. Now, of course, this would also have been way better if I used a tripod and took my time to shoot this entire thing instead of just walking around with my DJI Ronin, because of course I move around with my arms, with my body. So yeah, that's a thing that I would tell myself back then, because this was shot like 2 years ago. So if I could go back in time, I would slap myself in the face and I would say, hey, first of all, use a tripod. Second of all, use After Effects, because otherwise your hyperlapse will look like complete crap. So yeah, back to me. Let's see. Can you speak Hindi? No, I can't. Please tell us something about masking. What do you want to know about masking? What do you want to know? Also, guys, please don't spam too much in the comment section right here. It's not fun for those who have other questions as well. How can I do edit in Premiere Pro with a potato PC? You can make proxies. You can try and use the effects that are accelerated, not the heavy effects, you know. So yeah, I think those are kind of the things that you have to look at. Do you use DaVinci Resolve? Sometimes, yeah, not all the time. I've mentioned before here in the live streams that I am currently following an online class about how to edit videos in DaVinci Resolve, because I know a little bit about the color grading section, but not about the editing. So that's why I'm currently following on LinkedIn Learning. Can you make a Shazam transformation effect in Premiere Pro? I will have a look at that, and if it's possible, I will do it. Which Adobe apps are important to understand for video editing? That's a good question. What's important? Well, it all depends on what you want to make, of course. Let's open up the Creative Cloud app real quick. All apps. Here we go. Let's switch. Here we go. What do you want to have? Of course, you want Premiere Pro. You want After Effects for if you're doing compositions, or if you have some effects that you really have to put some time and effort in, like for example the hyperlapse that I've just showed you, or the tracking, or anything related to that. Also masking and stuff is easier in After Effects. Now, of course, what I also use is Media Encoder for exporting the footage. If it's like a whole bunch of videos that you've created, you can all queue them in the Media Encoder and just let them export later on. What else? Photoshop, I would also recommend that. It's always easy to have if you're working with assets or PNGs or JPEGs or whatever. And Illustrator, because if you want to have some vectors to work with, then I would recommend Illustrator. If you're not doing any of that thing, then I mean, you can skip those two here, Photoshop and Illustrator. Can you please explain what is the track linking and why do V1 and V2 become blue when we click the icons? Okay, let me quickly go to Premiere Pro. Let's zoom in here. So if it's blue, it means it's enabled. For example, if I place a cut, so at edit, which is Control K, but in my case it's X because I changed it. As you can see here, it only affects my bottom layer. Now if I also enable this one, it affects both layers. If I deselect both of them, now only my audio is selected. Now only my audio will be cut. So this is actually for doing shortcuts and effects like, hey, which thing do I want to affect? For example, if I copy this, Control C, if I now hit Control V, you can see that it will paste on the first track because this one is enabled. If I disable this one, and enable V3 or video track 3, and I then paste, then it will automatically be on V3, video track number 3. So that's how those things work. Also, oftentimes they are linked, as you can see here. This is the audio linked to this one. So if I disable or lock this one, I can just play around with the audio here. You can see that it's out of sync now. I can delete this. I can do a lot with this. So that's the link between those tracks actually. Now, of course, as you have seen in this tutorial actually, not sure, let's skip ahead. I think, yeah, here. With the new auto-generated captions, there is a new track. Where do I actually show the track? Let's skip a little bit. Oh, here. There is actually a new track inside Premiere, and this is especially for subtitles. So it's, as you can see here, C1 stands for caption track number 1. Here I placed some subtitles. So this is only for subtitles and captions and not for video or audio. So it doesn't affect anything underneath here. The good thing is also you can place multiple tracks in there, and if you enable one, all of the others will become enabled. So or disabled, sorry. If you enable one, the other ones will be disabled automatically. So you can only enable one of those tracks. Super useful. Do you know 3ds Max or Maya or Blender or Cinema 4D? I used to work with Blender in school just a little bit, but no. Also with Maya and 3ds Max, I have worked with that, but just a short amount of time, so I'm not that good with any of those softwares. Guys, please stop spamming in the chat also, because it's not that fun for others. I think I'm gonna... Why isn't the slow chat not disabled? Let's have a look. I'm gonna enable the slow chat for you guys so you don't spam. Oh, it is enabled. Well, let's put it to 90. Here you go. Okay. Thoughts about WandaVision episode 6. Wait, what was episode 6 again? Oh yeah, the ones with Quicksilver in it. Actually, I really liked it because I'm a huge Marvel fan also. What I was thinking was there a way to create one of those effects, either the one from Quicksilver or the one from Wanda itself in Premiere Pro, but I think that's gonna be too difficult without the use of any external plugins. So yeah, that's a little bit of a shame, but I really liked it. I like the editing of it. Only the hateful part that or the thing that I hate the most is the fact that their credits at the end of each episode are super long. So that's the only thing that I hate about it. How do you create and edit closed captions? Well, have a look at our tutorial, I would say, and then you know everything about it. Promises that you will come to India just after this pandemic is over. Of course, I want to travel the world again when this pandemic thing is over. Is there a way to play around with the opacity of masks? Of course there is. Let's have a look. Let's create a mask real quick. Here we go. And inside that mask, we have the opacity. And here we can play around with that. As you can see right here, we can even make animations. Here we go. So yes, that is possible. Just gonna delete everything. Here we go. What is your screen recording software? It's called Camtasia. Let's see. I'm gonna go to Instagram real quick to see if there are any more questions over there. Let's have a look. Here we are. How to master color correction and grading, even the basic skills to get going. Good question. How to master it? Try as much as possible. Just experiment, create different looks, create different moods, watch tutorials. We also have an amazing class on Skillshare about color grading inside of Premiere Pro, so definitely check that out. You can actually just go over to our website, which is premierebasics.net. There you can find video packs, you can find our classes, you can find so much on there. All of our tutorials are on the website as well. So that's what I would recommend. And just try and color grade as much as possible. I really sucked at it. What helped a lot for me, because I'm also colorblind, as you may know, is actually the Lumetri scopes right here. So I use these two, the vector scope YUV and the RGB parade. So this is the YUV and this is the RGB parade. I think, yes, they are. I use these two the most often. I use this one to get my skin tones right, and I use this to get my entire lighting right. Let's have a look here, for example. This is the line of the blacks. I don't want to go underneath this line, otherwise my blacks will be crushed. Same thing here, if I go over this, my whites will be crushed, so I don't want that to happen. Now let's say that I take my skin tone, for example. So let's say that I create a mask on my skin. Right here, I've just took a portion of my skin. If I go over to the Lumetri scopes, you actually see it's on this line right here between magenta and green, or between red and yellow, and that's actually the skin tone line. I don't want it to be more towards here or more towards here. I can just adjust it with the tint right here. So if I make it greener, it goes more to the yellow side. If I go to magenta, I turn more red. So I'm just gonna keep it right here on that line. And now I can easily just delete my mask and my skin tone looks great. So yeah, that's how I work with the Lumetri scopes and how I got better at color grading. Please tell about a cloud transition using masking. I'm not entirely sure what kind of transition you mean with that. If it's just with clouds in general, then I would just recommend finding a shot of clouds and just masking around it. Put a lot of feather on there and just, I don't know, do something with it. Make an animation that it goes over your screen. Why did you increase the slow mode? To get rid of spammers. Sorry for that. I barely use my editing software. Man, you have to keep on editing. You have to stay creative, man. You have to keep on doing and creating stuff. Oh. Thanks for answering the mask opacity. I'm having a problem with it. When I want to place a video inside another, the opacity turns the entire video black. That's weird. Oh wait, let me show you how that works. Maybe you don't understand masks that well. I'm not sure what your skill level is, but so let's say that I want to put anything here in this section right here, which is currently just Jordy. Let me make a quick mask. So I'm gonna mask on the top layer, which is this thing that you're seeing here. I place a mask in there. Voila. But now it's only showing this, so I want to invert it. And then I have my bottom track right here. And that's actually the layer that you see right here. So it's just me talking. So I can just scale that a little bit more, position it towards here maybe, and I can just play around with the opacity of the mask. So I'm now quite in the middle of it. I'm placing 100, go to the beginning, go to 0, and oh yeah, of course, I know what you mean. Wait, how are we gonna do this? We can maybe try and nest it actually. Or will that not work? No, you will have to, what you have to do then, if you want to do this, is I'm just gonna duplicate it. I'm gonna re-invert it, and I'm actually going to play with the opacity of this layer right here. And here we go. Now it's actually doing the opposite, but I can actually start from 100 and go to 0, and then it's doing this. So it actually reveals me inside of there. So I now have 3 layers. I have one where this is the actual thing that is visible. I have one where actually everything around it is visible, and I have my layer underneath that I put in here. So that's how I fixed that for you. Let's see. I just want to know how to make image and videos move side to side. Okay, let me show that to you. You take your track, you go over to the effect controls panel, you go over to motion, position, you take the left property right here, and that way you can move them. Now if you want to animate it, you can give it a specific property, like for instance this. Click on the stopwatch icon, go a little bit further in time, change this value, for instance here, and if we now play this, everything in between here will be animated. Now of course this looks quite harsh, so I'm gonna right click on the first one, temporal interpolation, ease out. I'm gonna right click on the last keyframe, temporal interpolation, ease in, and this will actually show us this nice curve, and this will make the movement go slow, then a little bit faster, and then it goes slow again. This creates a nice smooth animation. Like this. Super nice. You can always also use the transform effect. So go over to your effects panel, look for the transform effect, drag it on there, and exactly the same, use the motion to play around with it. Let's see. It's amazing that you're colorblind and your color grading is always amazing. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. Of course, for the tutorials itself, like for instance, the studio shots that I shoot right here in the studio, we have a preset for that because the camera always stays stationary. There's nothing that changes with the settings of the camera that you're currently watching me at or looking at me at. So we just have a preset for that I can just drag and drop. If we shoot either downstairs in the film studio or if we shoot outside, I do manually grade everything and color correct everything. I don't use any LUTs for that. How to track something in Premiere Pro. I've actually made a tutorial about that, which you can find on our channel. How do you color the objects in the timeline? Super good question, actually. Let's go over here. What I do is I right click on it and I go label, and it gives me a whole lot of colors that I can change it to. For instance, green. Now, you can also do that otherwise. You can go to preferences, labels, and where is it? Oh, here. You can actually rename these, and you can actually recolor these. I'm more of the bright colors kind of guy because as you know, I'm colorblind, so it pops a bit more for me. For example, like the pink here, and the pink here, and this one right here, and this one right here. If that's all together, it's a little bit confusing for me to know which is which. So now I can see it more clear because there's a different color next to it each time. But if these were all next to each other, it would be really hard for me. That's why I like brighter colors like green, red, yellow, blue. And when you go over to the keyboard shortcuts, actually, you can actually go to label. Oops, label. And here you can give each label a shortcut. For instance, I have my red and green labels on number 2 and number 3 right here. So that means if I take a shot, I can just make it red or green. Red is mostly if I have to do something with it, or if it's something important. Like for instance here, this is the audio of my end credit scene. Or here it's the intro. And green is mostly shots where I have to put something above. For instance here, these studio shots are all green because I had to place my screencast above it. If it's still blue, then I can just show it the way it is. So it's easier for me while editing, because if I see that it is blue, then I don't have to think about anything putting up here. If it's green, then I have to look for, okay, what do I have to put on top of here? Same here. Then I also have the purple ones. These are either assets or things that I go and put in After Effects. Also the blue ones on top of here, the screencast itself, it remains blue because I don't have to put anything on top of there. Sometimes I have 2 screencasts because I just play around with this. For example here, I wanted to keep this quite big, but then I lost this, so I actually duplicated this, cropped this out, and resized that so it gives this result. So what you see during the tutorials is real, but the interface itself isn't always the exact real size. I play around with that to make it more visible for you guys following the tutorials, but the actual steps that we're doing, those are real, of course. And as you can see here, I also placed something in yellow colors. That's mostly something that is, like for instance here, an ad or anything related to that. Something that has nothing to do with the video itself, like for instance a final result or something that I don't have to put sound for my voice or screencast on top of. So yeah, that's how I play around with the colors. Okay, let's see. 5 more minutes, guys, and then I'm gonna quit the live stream. So let's see here on Instagram, are there any more questions? How to manage your time while editing, and why don't we start with color grading first? 2 questions actually. How to manage your time? Well, when shooting something or when a client asks you for a specific edit, think about what you're gonna do. So think about the final result, think about the effects that you want to put in there. Of course, if you have shot it yourself, you already know the type of footage that you're getting. So think about, hey, did I actually did a pan movement with my camera somewhere, and somewhere else, some other shot where I did the same thing to start the shot. Those I want to put together because it's a nice transition. There was one shot that I know that is a little bit too dark, so I need to expose that a bit more. There was a shot where I wanted some visual effects, and I've actually also made a clean plate for that, so I need that shot also. So think about that before you actually start editing, and when you actually start editing, you know, try and keep everything as efficient as possible. I've actually made a couple of tutorials on here where I talk about the efficiency and the workspace. Don't put too much of the panels open if you're not using them. If you're not color grading and you don't have a really big screen or 2 monitors, close it. If you don't do anything with the essential sounds or with the essential graphics or with the audio track mixer, close them, okay? So only keep open the effect controls, the source and program monitor, the timeline, and the project panel, and maybe the effects panel. that I would recommend, and try and do everything step by step. So first do your basic edit, then do your visual effects, then do your color grading. A mistake that I often make, but it actually helps my workflow when I work for clients, is I actually make an adjustment layer in the beginning when I'm editing, when I have like 10 or 15 seconds of my edit yet. I create an adjustment layer, put that on top of my edit, and already color grade a little bit, not color correction, but color grading, so creating the look and the mood, because it actually helps with the rest of my edit, because then I know what kind of mood or theme that I want to do. For example, if I'm doing a travel video and I create something like a little bit more warm, a little bit more saturated, but like very warm tones, both in the shadows and the highlights and the midtones, then I know like, okay, those shots I'm not gonna use, or I'm gonna make a specific section of those shots where everything is a little bit colder because something happened there, or because the weather wasn't that nice, or because it was shot during the night, while all of the other shots I can use in the beginning and behind the other part. So that's something that I do. Is it a good workflow? I'm not sure, but it helps for me because it helps the way that I think about the edit. It helps the way that I create a specific mood for my edit. So yeah, that's how I go over those things. Twixtor or optical flow? I've actually never worked with Twixtor before, so I wouldn't know. Maybe I will check it out in the future, but I haven't yet. Hey Jill, please check out Ian Hubert's Dynamo Dream on YouTube. You will definitely be blown away by the visual effects he did in Blender. I'll check it when I'm at home actually, because it's Blender related. It's not Premiere Pro related. How to make a background blur in Premiere Pro? You can use the Gaussian blur effect. Hey Jill, Jordy has uploaded a new video. Yes, I know. And he actually just sent me a message that he did upload it on cinecom.net. So guys, I think I'm gonna answer maybe two or one more. Yeah, let's do two more questions. We still have 2 minutes left. Once you're done watching this live stream, go over to Cinecom and watch Jordy's new video. Okay, so let's do two final questions about video editing or any experiences that I have. Can be from a Cinecom video as well, if you guys are interested about that. Is there anything that detects beats in Premiere Pro? I'm not sure actually. I don't think so. I just do it manually and I keep my finger on the M key, which creates a marker, and I just do bam, bam, bam with my finger while I'm listening to it. So okay guys, come on. One more question. One final question. Let's go guys. One final question, and then you can go ahead to the Cinecom channel and look at the new video from Jordy. In the meantime, I'm gonna close Premiere. So let's see. One final question, guys. Do you know how to get Essential Graphics? It's just go over to your window menu and then click on Essential Graphics. What about potato chips commercial? Oh, we've actually made a cool commercial on the Cinecom channel. Let me show you guys. Cinecom commercial. Oh, you can watch. You can also go ahead on Cinecom and watch the Cine Battle where Janik and Jordy made a Pringles commercial completely blindfolded, which was actually super fun to watch. Let's have a look right here. So it's actually this one. They actually made a chips commercial. Let's go over to the results real quick. They actually made these blindfolded. So let's have a look. This is actually super well done. I'm not sure if this is Jordy's or Janik's video, but it's super nice. And I think they also only used Premiere Pro for this, but I'm not entirely sure about that. Let's have a look at the other one. Oh, yeah, that was from Jordy. This one is from Janik. So here you have your ship's commercial. Okay. That was the wrong button. Let's see. Can you do After Effects? Yes, I know the basics of it, but not the advanced things about it. Okay, but I see that it's time, so I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go home right now. So thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to the people that donated. Guys, if you want to have cool and awesome video packs, or if you want to have a look at our Skillshare classes, then go over to our website, premierbasics.net, where you can find downloadable video graphics, video packs, everything related to that. I think we have transitions, assets, particles, stuff like that. So just go over to our website, look for it. It's just a click of a button away. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday, of course, for a new tutorial, and next week for a new live stream. And make sure to hit our notification bell, because next week we're gonna have a super nice tutorial. I'm not gonna spoil anything yet, but you want to make sure that your notification bell is activated for that. So make sure to activate those notifications, subscribe to our channel, and of course, stay creative.